I'm Brett, and I've developed a new, simple, modern spiritual philosophy. And in this series of videos, I'd like to tell you all about it. So stay tuned, and if you like what you're hearing, tell other people about it, comment, ask me questions, and we'll go forward from there. Thank you very much. The symptoms. The symptoms are the things that we suffer from because we're experiencing the three critical mass paradigms. When somebody doesn't feel that they are enough and they are reliant on someone other than themselves because they're in a situation that is fixed and they can't change it, they're simply not empowering. It's not empowering to the individual, and it's not empowering to society. And again, I totally get empowering to change to what? I don't know. I'm not offering the answer. And that again might be frustrating and hard to hear. I'm not offering the answer. I'm not a guru. I'm not a master for you to follow. I haven't got the answer. I'm not going to give you the answer because I don't have it. But that's what I see going on around me. What I see going on around me and what I experience myself, and what would appear to be happening around me with other people, is that we are simply not empowered. And therefore we suffer from the symptoms of not being empowered. We suffer from the symptoms of the three critical mass paradigms. So again, being careful of the way in which I say this, I look around and I don't see that we are physically healthy, mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, and spiritually healthy in terms of the choices that we're making. Yeah, actually, maybe that's a nice way of saying it. You can maybe read between the lines and come up with something there, but I think that's both accurate and the most gentle way in which I can say that is us suffering from the three critical mass paradigms on an individual level, and on a societal level we're suffering from the three critical mass paradigms because we continue to exist in a world where there's war, poverty, suffering, extensive homelessness. There's food to feed enough people, but people are starving to death. There's resources for everyone, but some people have masses of resources, and some people have none. And I'm not against the idea that if you, again, I'm not passing judgment. I'm not saying that if you work harder, you shouldn't be allowed more. I'm not trying to. Again, I'm not proposing a answer. I'm not proposing that all resources should be shared equally. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just saying it doesn't look like we're doing really well, individually or collectively. It doesn't look like we're doing well. It doesn't look like we are an evolved, sophisticated, civilized being or society. I don't see it. I don't see that. I see that we're in masses of denial about who and what we are and how evolved and civilized we think we are and how intellectually gifted that we are. We're not. We're not. People are not physically healthy. They're not mentally healthy. They're not emotionally healthy. And they're not spiritually healthy. And by spiritual, I don't mean all the woo-woo crystals and yoga and meditation. What choices are people making? What clear, actionable, maybe not even actionable, what clear choices are people making? I see people who intellectually understand, and I've experienced, let's this doesn't have to be about other people, but I mean, look around you and think on your own experience. Have you intellectually understood a choice wasn't great, had a feeling that a choice wasn't great, but still made that choice? Do you think that's your Do you think that's your choosing ability acting in its best, acting in its most function, acting at its strongest, acting with its greatest capability? Do you see people around you that are functioning at their greatest capability in their body? Do you see people around you that are functioning to their greatest ability in their understanding and their intellectual capacity and their thinking capacity? Do you see people around you? Ooh, hello. Ooh. And we're back. Do you see people around you that are able to feel their own feelings? And that's such a trendy. I wasn't gonna mention this, but I think I will do. That's such a trendy thing at the moment, to talk about feeling your own feelings, and I'm down for it. Not that I'm advocating it or not advocating it. I can relate to it. I can relate to that idea of, yeah, I really need to. My gosh, I do a lot of things to distract myself from my feelings because I don't want to feel them, because I'm not practiced at it. That is a symptom of not being empowered to feel my own feelings. It's a symptom of not being exercised, of not exercising my soul, and of living in a society, in a collection of people, in a collective that doesn't advocate that. It doesn't promote that idea of exercising our whole being, our body, mind, soul, and spirit. That is the symptom of the three critical mass paradigms, that we don't exist. The only way that, just to complete that thought, the only way that feeling your feelings can become a trendy thing is because people are not doing it. It's not trendy to suddenly talk about when you breathe in, breathe out, because people are doing that. It is trendy to talk about breath, I know, but that's a very different thing than, it's not trendy to talk about how you walk as you place one foot in front. People do that. People don't feel their feelings. So there's this sort of new movement around the idea of sit and experience your feelings. Because we're not empowered to do that. It's not encouraged. It's not encouraged for you to embody your I experience through exercising your body, mind, soul, and spirit. We're only just beginning to look at the idea of how important physical exercise is, let alone mental exercise, soul exercise, and spirit exercise. And no, being into crystals and yoga and meditation doesn't make you spiritual. That's a choice you're making. Any choice you're making is spiritual. Those things are not exclusively spiritual. The choice to wash your car is just as spiritual as the choice to go to yoga or to meditate or to be into crystals. Those are, as discussed before, they are commercialised versions that are easy to sell to you. Maybe that's worth mentioning briefly right now. That empowering yourself, that being empowered, there's something to do there. There's something to say there about how commercially beneficial that is to a leader. It's not commercially. It's not useful to the leader to empower you to be able to look after yourself, because then you don't need the leader. So again, I'm not trying to say this is a conspiracy theory, but I am saying if they can see what's happening and they're not changing it, they're either in denial of it or they can't see what's happening. But it suits the leaders very much so for us to be disempowered. It suits the leader-follower paradigm for there to be a lot of followers that need a leader. Empowered people maybe don't need a leader. At the moment, we are suffering from the 3 critical mass paradigms that keep us disempowered. This is why this is called the cycle of disempowerment. And all the time we suffer those symptoms, we then go looking for an answer. So we fulfill the cycle, suffering from the symptoms of the 3 critical mass paradigms as brought about by the implications, brought about by the institutes and phenomena that have been created by the leaders. Suffering from all that means we then go looking for an answer, and we find a leader saying, I have the answer, I have the cure, come and follow me. And again, these may not be malevolent people who are consciously, purposely trying to do it. They might well have very good intentions. That doesn't change the dynamic of this is what is happening. What is happening is that we are being disempowered all the time. We become dependent on, and it's really easy for us to become dependent because there is only one cure presented. Of course, we're all dependent on the government because when I sit up on the hill, I can only look out on one societal structure. I don't get to make a choice about, I'm going to go and live in that settlement over there, which is structured completely differently to this settlement over here. I'm dependent on the one and only system that we have. Of course I am. And so being dependent on it doesn't enable my ability to choose, so I don't get to strengthen an element of my personal being. So one element, that one particular element of my personal being is not strengthened and exercised. It is weak. I am not empowered. I am not in as much power as I could be.